Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. So in this video I wanted to expand a bit on the Phoenix energy I was talking about in my most recent video prior to this one. So phoenixes, what they're known for, the imagery or mythology is that there are these birds rising from the ashes that regenerate themselves after destruction. So we can see our souls in a similar way. And what makes the phoenix special is that not that it rises from the ashes, but that it's better, stronger, and more powerful than before. So that's why soul loss and destruction can be a gift to us. Because how will we know how strong we really are until we're faced with something that's stronger than we are, right? So the power of being faced with something that's stronger than you are, and I mean this on a soul level, but it can also be referring to someone being overpowered in really any way. So it can really be someone stronger than you are in any way, actually, whether that's physically, spiritually, or mentally. So in the world of spirits, which we all belong to, we have the good spirits, we have the dark spirits, and then everything in between, right? So what I've come to learn is that the dark spirits can be very powerful. So they can't overpower the light because the dark and light have to have each other to exist. But they can be very powerful. Being dark does not mean not being powerful. It just means that you've taken your soul in a more negative direction in human terms, right? So on a universal level, someone with a darker soul would be someone who's denser, kind of like a black hole versus like a star. So that imagery doesn't line up perfectly because, stars die, but I don't think our souls die. But we don't know what happens when something enters a black hole. So for all we know, everything entering a black hole is coming out of a wormhole on the other side and is regenerating itself there. So we don't really know. So I still kind of like the example of the black hole. So darkness is the presence of density. It's the density of a soul. In this world, in the human reality, darkness is typically more evil, but it's not that way in every single place in the universe. You can just be a denser soul. Although we all start off as light souls in this loving light universe from which we exist. So when we're faced with something that's stronger than we are, we have a choice. Are we going to allow it to overpower us on every level? Are we going to give into it and just accept that we've now been overtaken? Or are we going to have faith that we can be whole, that we can regenerate ourselves, that we can be reborn into something even stronger and more powerful than what we were before? Because the ultimate test for our spirits and our souls is, how do you react to something that is more powerful than you are? So whether that's a child being abused by their parents, whether that's someone being overtaken and possessed by a dark entity, how do you react to that situation? Are you afraid? Do you give it more power with your fear? Does the fear consume you? Or do you turn to a higher power, having faith that there's always something more powerful than the last thing that you faced? Does that make sense? So we can't have all the most powerful souls on the dark soul end of the spectrum. That's not how a balanced universe works. In order for there to be both, they have to be balanced. So if there's extremely powerful dark souls, there's extremely powerful light souls. So it doesn't always require the help of the light souls, but normally it's extremely helpful to ask for their help. Because if you don't ask for their help, it's going to take a lot longer, and while it's still possible, you're going to need to keep your faith and your light really strong, and it'll be like almost the only thing that you're focusing on. Okay, so the angels exist to help us, so that's why we should accept their help. That's what I think. So as far as the soul loss being a gift, it's a gift because once you get those pieces back, you're not just the same as how you were. You're not just back to being who you were. You've actually up-leveled, because now you've experienced this pain and trauma, and instead of allowing that to consume you and turn you into something dark, you've grown from it. You've become wiser. You've gained more knowledge. You've gained more compassion, and you've gained more power. So what that means is that we don't need to be afraid of something more powerful than we are, because we can always ask the more powerful beings for help, knowing that there's always something that can help us. And the other thing about the darkness is that it can only feed into the dark parts of you and try to control you in that way. So like if you're really afraid of being demonically possessed or whatever, because maybe you've watched too many horror movies, it'll channel itself into that fear to control your mind. But if you can release your fears, it has nothing to use against you, because it can't control the light. It can only try to embed itself into this abyss-like structure in your mind. So that's why I like to say that you can't fear the abyss, because the abyss is fear. So you can't fear it, because then you become it, if that makes sense. So to summarize, when we're experiencing the soul loss, it's because it's meant to make us stronger. And, are we going to make excuses and say that I just have to become dark now because that's all I know and I'm a victim? Or are we going to choose for it to make us stronger and wiser and more powerful in the light direction, where we take ownership of our own issues and we transform them and transmute them, so that what appears to be completely destroyed is actually something that is reborn into a more powerful version of itself. And to finish off, so what does it mean to be more powerful? It means to have more experiences and less fear, because we know that we can overcome it. So if you know in your heart and your soul that you can overcome anything, then there's nothing to be afraid of. And that is what the power is. Okay? So I hope this made sense. Let me know what you think below, and I will see you very soon. Thanks. Bye.